This is how to answer the interview question, so why did you leave your last company? Or they may ask you, why do you want to leave your current company? This is an interview question that will most likely be asked by your recruiter and hiring manager. This can be pretty tricky and can sometimes lead to getting you rejected. So in this video, I'm going to talk about exactly how to answer this question. I'm going to give you a sample answer that you can use in your next interview, and I'm going to tell you about some common mistakes that people make when they're answering this question. And if you want more free career tips just like this, make sure you click subscribe down below. So why do companies ask you why you're looking to leave your company or why you left your last company? Well, the point of the question is, number one, they want to make sure that you are not a flight risk. They want to make sure that if they hire you and spend the money to train you and pay you, that you will stay there for the long run. Also, if you work for one of their major competitors, they may be a little suspicious, wondering what are your true intentions when you're interviewing and asking questions about their project or their upcoming products. They just want to make sure that you aren't scouting for the competition, and they want to make sure that you genuinely want this job and you are excited to be interviewing and applying. And by the way, you should definitely be preparing for this interview question if you have been changing jobs or employers pretty frequently. Or basically, if you've been changing jobs every 2 years or so, you're definitely going to get asked this question. And also, if you're leaving a really popular, notable, top-tier company in your industry and moving to like a startup or a smaller company, they're going to want to know why you're willing to leave one of these giant companies and if you can actually fit in at their culture. Okay, so now let's talk about how to answer the interview question, why did you leave your last company? Well, first of all, you're going to want your answer to be somewhere between 1 and 2 minutes. Try not to go any longer than that. This is not a behavioral question, so you are not supposed to use the STAR method to answer this. And when you're answering this question, you either want to talk about why you want to leave that specific company or why you want to leave your role or that job within that company. It doesn't need to be restricted to just talking about the company itself. So if you want to talk about why you left the company specifically, acceptable reasons to give that will not get you rejected are related to your project being canceled, the company culture not being a good fit, reorgs, or if you were worried about the future financial performance and sustainability of that company. Now let's say instead you want to talk about why you left your role within that company. So acceptable reasons to give are if your roles and responsibilities have changed since you've been hired, you had differences with your manager, you were made promises about what you could get to do or achieve in your role and those promises were not lived up to, and if you don't feel like you were learning anymore within your current role. All of these reasons that I just gave are very valid answers that would not reflect negatively on you in an interview. And lastly and most importantly, when you are delivering your answer, make sure you don't sound bitter or like a disgruntled employee because nobody wants to hire somebody with a bad attitude. Also, accept responsibility where possible because this will show them maturity and self-awareness, which are all really positive traits that they would want to see in an interview. Okay, so here is an example or sample answer that you can give in an interview if you are asked this question. So why did you leave your last company? Well, to be honest, I really did enjoy my time there and I was able to have a huge contribution and impact in such a short time. Since I joined, I've hired over 15 senior candidates, which is the most that's ever been done on this recruiting team. Now, on top of that, I was recruiting for a position that I've never recruited for before, so I had to learn all about the role, build new client relationships, and even create new recruiting processes. I was able to have a huge impact in a very short amount of time, but at the same time, when I interviewed for this position, the manager originally made me some promises about the role scope and the capability and impact that I would get to have over time. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like some of that role scope would actually be achievable in the near future. And I'm also a little concerned about the financial viability of this company since our hiring has really slowed down in the past few months. Now, the manager who originally recruited me has recently left the company and joined your company. But I am actually very excited about your position because all of the potential role and scope and responsibilities that I was initially interviewing for at my last company is what you guys are hiring for today. And I really hope that I can bring my skills and contributions and have a huge amount of impact here as well. Alright, so now let's talk about some very common mistakes that I see people make when they are answering this interview question. And the first one is that they're too honest when they're giving their answer. And what I mean by too honest is when you are talking about your true motivations to be leaving your current company or your last company, you don't really need to air out all of your dirty laundry or all the negative things that you experienced at your current role. Because they are trying to hire somebody who's excited to be there and not someone who's running away from something, but someone who would be able to have a huge amount of impact. So make sure that you remember this question is not about you, and it's truly about what the company will get by hiring you. Now, the second mistake that I see people make is all in their tone and the delivery of the answer. Remember, this is still an interview, and so what they are trying to make sure that they're getting from anyone that they're hiring is a huge amount of excitement. They would rather hire somebody who's slightly less qualified, but is so excited to join their team, join their company, and have a huge impact, rather than someone who is highly qualified and comes highly recommended, but just doesn't seem happy to be there. And the last mistake that I see people make is people will sometimes interpret this question as an opportunity to turn it around and ask the interviewer what they are going to be promising or what they are going to be selling to them so that they can accept this role. Remember, you're still in an interview, and I would save all of those motivational questions that you may have about the role and the scope and your career progression and time for promotion and raises and things like that until after you get your job offer. You don't want to potentially rub anyone the wrong way or eliminate your chances from getting a job offer right now. Alright, so now you know how to answer the interview question, why did you leave your last company? Or why are you looking to leave your current company? Let us know what other interview videos you want us to make that would be really helpful for you, and make sure you click subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.